What's up guys, Mr. Scanlon here. In this video we're going to be going over that Python programming chapter 4, and more specifically we're going to be talking about computer conditionals. So computer conditionals are a very important concept in computer science. Basically it has all to do with how computers make decisions. So there's all kinds of stuff in any video game you play, any app you use, any website you're on, of computers basically making decisions pretty intelligently for the most part. And you always kind of wonder, how does that work on the back end exactly? How do we make a computer think about something and then do some action based on that? So um, let's just like draw real quick here. Imagine going down this road. I actually wanted red. There it goes. And I get to the end of this road here, like basically in this like red splotch here, and I can go down this yellow path, or I can go down this green path. So basically, like if I'm an individual doing this and I get to this point, I have to make a decision. I have to either choose: which path do I want to go down? Which one, might get me to my destination faster? Which one might be safer? There's a lot of different conditions basically that I have to ask myself, and I have to kind of like think about which ones are the most important. Now we usually do this very quickly. Obviously, it depends on what kind of decision we have to make, but especially on something like just choosing a path, we could pretty much make it very quickly. What if, for instance, I'm going to dial this down real quick. Maybe, the length of this path here to get home is, 5 miles or something like that. And maybe the length to get home on this one is like 10 miles or something like that. So then obviously I'm going to want to go down this yellow path here because it's going to be it's maybe all I'm concerned about is how to get home the quickest, and that's the shortest route. So let me go down the yellow path. That's basically what we're going to be training computers to do here. Very basic conditionals, and then we'll get into the more complex stuff later. But that's the basic idea of it. So I'm going to go over all the coding examples now in this chapter. Again, please read the text because it's extremely important. And then before I close this out, I just want to let you know this is actually an application I created, as you can see, Scanlon's Paint here. An application I created with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which hopefully you guys will be able to learn maybe later in SimSci, definitely in ACAS though. Alright, so let's just close out of that and we'll go to PyCharm now. Alright, so now that we're in PyCharm, I'm just going to start out with like kind of like the first lessons here, and then we're going to go over the code. So I'm going to say x is equal to 5, and then I'm going to say if x is equal to 5, then print x is equal to 5. And then when I run this, you'll see that printed out to the screen. So a couple things going on here. The first I'll mention is obviously we have this if statement here, which is new to us. This is the beginning of how conditionals work in Python. Basically, you write if, and then right after that you provide a little space for a buffer, and then right after that you just write whatever condition you want to test. So whatever happens after this if statement here, after just the word if, you're basically going to write like maybe a mathematical expression or what's known as a Boolean expression, which we'll talk about later. And you're basically asking the computer, is this expression right here going to be true or false? If it is true, what we want you to do is after this colon here, run the code right below it. And if it's false, then do not run this. So if I were to change this to 6, it's going to say if x is equal to 6, or if x is equal to 5, but it's 6, so nothing gets printed here, nothing happens. Let me actually show you another thing, just so I can explain this next step here. I'm going to say print, will this line show up? So you got to ask yourself here, will this line show up right here? Will this print out down here? Well, as you can see, it does. Why does it show up when this one doesn't? I mean, after all, this one's after the if statement. Why is this one showing up but not this guy? Is it because, it has to be right after this colon, only the first line gets printed. No, 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 no. What it actually is it has to do with something called white spacing in Python. Now, Python has, let me actually see if I can't go to the, no, it'll take too long. You guys can see the comic another time, sorry. Python has this thing called white spacing, which is very different from most languages. Definitely, when I first tried Python, it was different from any language I had tried before. Basically, what it means is instead of having a lot of like squiggly braces everywhere and semicolons and all kinds of stuff that you have in C++ maybe and other languages, all you got to do is write this colon, and then whatever is tabbed over after this colon is going to get ran. So if I were to like tab this guy over now too, and then rerun this, obviously this is false here. It doesn't run either of them, and it's because it's tabbed over. So these two are like inside of this if statement's true or false kingdom, I guess you could call it, or something. So neither of them are going to get ran. If they were both not tabbed over, I think I could do that, yeah. If they were both not tabbed over and I were to run this, I think I'm actually going to get an error because you can't do that. You don't have error. Null. Oh, null doesn't work either? Okay, print. Both of them show up now because both of them are not inside that if statement. So that's basically like how white spacing works, and you're going to see this a lot. Make sure you don't get confused with it because it's definitely something that a lot of people, especially coming from other languages, will get kind of confused with. And it doesn't just have to be a tab. It could be, you could just do 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see it lines up correctly. So you can do either tabs or spaces. Just make sure you're consistent. If you were to do spaces here and tabs here, you're going to get an error. The compiler doesn't like that. So either make it tabs or spaces. Don't do one or the other. There's a really good video in the chapter 4 that I hope you guys should watch on tabs and spaces and kind of the dilemma with it. I personally use tabs. I never use spaces. I don't want to worry about having to use spaces. I don't want to be inaccurate. I just think tabs are so much easier. So that's up to you. I'm going to cut this video short just because we went over a lot, and I want to keep these videos kind of short from now on. So in the next video, we're just going to be continuing with the same code here.